Death on the Installment Plan, Death on Credit, it's called in America, I believe, different title. So again, a book by Louis-Ferdinand Céline. I did another video about Journey to the End of the Night, and I talked a bit about that. Again, I like this book. It's a very good book. You're dealing in this book with Bartholomew at an earlier stage in his life. And of course, Bartholomew is Celine's alter ego. The book was published in 1936, so it's 4 years later than Journey. And even though it begins with the adult Bartholomew, the adult Céline, he's practicing medicine in Paris, it goes back then to his childhood, and he starts dealing with his childhood. Again, the theme of travel is in this book. You know, there's a lot of traveling around Paris, and he goes to various destinations. We hear about his apprenticeships, his various apprenticeships in Paris. He spends time in a boarding school in England and on a farm. And what else about this? The characters in this book, they're much more developed than Journey. Even though I prefer Journey better than this book, the characters in this book are much more developed. For example, he goes more into his parents. His father wasn't such a nice guy. He talks about his uncle and this eccentric inventor guy that likes Bartholomew. So you get a much more deeper sense of the characters. The style in this book is very good as well. Very clear, very good style. He uses ellipsis. He's trying to catch the flow of the way the people in Paris spoke. Obviously still speak, but he's trying to catch those speech patterns in this book. So in that sense, he's very stylistic. He's experimenting a lot, and the novel. It really is actually a novel. It's not trying to imitate some other work, right? He's trying to really get to the grips with the way the Parisians speak and think, right? So, what else about this? It's a novel that it can make you laugh at one moment, and the next moment you'll be crying, right? Because Celine's humor, again, the dark humor coming through, a very bleak picture. And however, but it's the way he says it, the way he says things at times is very funny, right? Sexual escapades, of course, he like Journey, he goes a lot into different sexual encounters. For example, when he's in the boarding school in England, he has a sexual encounter with the headmaster's wife, and a semi-sexual encounter, put it like that. And also there's another when there's a strange story in there when his dad is going on this doing this job for this upper class lady in Paris. She invites him into her room, and she pulls up her dress and invites him to lick her pussy. So that's the kind of things you're going to be reading in this book. Céline doesn't hold back. Céline, he says it, he writes it, he doesn't care, right? And in that sense, I respect Céline in that sense. It's a very edgy novel. And thinking about it, this was published in 1936. So Céline was taking a lot of chances back then, which gives it a lot more credibility in my eyes. What else is going on in this novel? Yeah, he's still complaining about the world, but not as much as he was in Journey, right? But he's still, that dark sense of humor is still there, right? He still paints the same bleak picture, but not as much as he did in Journey to the End of the Night. The darkness, put it like this, in this book I'd say the darkness is implicit, whereas in Journey it was explicit. So that's the way I look at this book. It's much more, it's just taken for granted that the darkness of the world, the absurdity of the world is there, whereas in Journey he was much more trying to get to grips with it and trying to point it out more. So if you can look at it like that, I think you'll have a good focus on it and a good handle on this novel. And it's quite a long novel as well, right? So great novel, I enjoyed it. I've read this twice, and I plan to read it again at some stage. Great novel.